Paint the picture.
Hey, it's John Anik. You're listening to the 1-2 podcast with Kendrick and James.
Love it.
Welcome back to the 1-2 podcast. Kendrick Johnson, my man James Lynch, across the border, coming to you fresh off the heels of Canelo Alvarez, and still and again unified super middleweight champion of the world. He's got 3 out of the 4 belts, and let it know real quick, he wants that 4th belt, and Mr. Caleb Plant. What you think about all that craziness that went down in Dallas this weekend?
There's a lot of craziness. Before we get into that, though, we got to mention we got 2 awesome guests on the program here today. We're going to be joined by Andrea KGB Lee, who's going to be in action this Saturday at UFC 262, taking on Antonina Shevchenko, a really important fight for the flyweight division. And then after that, we're going to be joined by one of the big winners last weekend at UFC Vegas 26, Neil Magny, who got a really big win over Geoff Neal in the welterweight division. We'll be talking to Neil a little bit later today. But Kendrick, to answer your question, a lot of madness. There was a lot of craziness. There was that bad stoppage. There was a little bit of everything on the weekend. I thought
you lay down. Did you watch the card then?
Yeah, oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And did you see the dude, the guy? He's in the head. He gets hit in the head. He lays out like he got hit in the elbows, and he was like all down. And then they started clouding because you hadn't been to Cowboy Stadium. It's got the biggest jumbotron in the world, and so they put his face on there. Everybody boos. They put the guy that was with his face. Everybody goes crazy. It's like, oh, we're back to real sports now. That's the first time I was like, that's kind of like a real sports moment.
It was a great card. It really captured the attention of everyone. Even the timing kind of worked out. The UFC card ended a bit earlier, so you were able to kind of go watch that main event. But the thing that really stood out to me was Canelo Alvarez was a huge winner, not only in his performance, but I saw him speaking a bit more English. I know you had some good stuff with him as well. I really think we're at the point now where Canelo is, we know how big of a star he is, but the fact that he's adding, the fact that he can speak English and all that, I think that's really becoming endearing to a lot of boxing fans. Did you get that sense that this was a bigger deal with him winning on the weekend, just with how he's been able to promote himself?
But yeah, it's more about global. It's like Canelo, the Canelo. He's not behind Golden Boy's shadow no more. It's like we're seeing the Canelo. We even saw him get into it at a post-fight press conference with Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, and he's like, "You shut the fuck up, motherfucker." It's just funny hearing him cussing English. It's like him talking English. He's getting points for doing stuff you really ain't supposed to do. But since it's Canelo and it's in English, it's like getting gold stars all around. It's like you can't script it. It's natural. That's what makes it so cool. Like I talked to him, he goes, "I do my best, my friend." It was for me. It's cool because I've been trying to talk to Canelo publicly in English for a minute. When I found out about 4.5 years ago at a private gym session in San Diego that he talks English, and thinking like I've always asked him English questions. He's always interested in Spanish, so he has to know what the hell I'm saying. So it's kind of cool to see him talk to me publicly in English, and everybody's like, "What you do?" It's like I've been kind of pushing this for years. So they saw a lot of combination of hard work come into play this week. So it's pretty cool, and the fact that he's on top of the world right now. That's the best pound fighter in the world right now.
And the great thing was after the fight, we saw that Eddie Hearn's trying to make these big fights. There's a lot of politics in boxing where you've seen some of the matchups we don't want. He sounded pretty optimistic about some of those names you mentioned in terms of what could be next for Canelo. Did you feel encouraged by what you heard at the post-fight press conference?
I feel encouraged. I want to see how they're going to pull off this PBC. There's never been a PBC fighter that's currently under contract on DAZN. So that means the fight's going to be on Fox or what they're going to do, because I don't think DAZN's going to want to see Canelo fighting on Fox. Canelo doesn't have a deal with them. So we'll see how that goes, because that's going to be interesting, because that's why the Caleb Plant fight has not been made to this point. It's like either like Canelo's not scared of him, he's not scared of Canelo. It's a simple fact of the politics that is boxing. But here's an interesting thing that nobody's talking about. I talked to Tyson Fury in a crazy thing after the weigh-ins, and he talks about I bring up Francis Ngannou. He's like, he's a straight fucking bum. I would hurt him. He don't want that to be. He's like dead ass serious. And I kind of believe him because as good as Francis is, technically he could mess with Tyson Fury.
Well, and it's too, I mean, this is what people have to realize when it comes to MMA fighters going over to boxing. Just because you have good knockout power in MMA, you have good striking in MMA, does not mean it's going to translate to boxing. And I know we haven't had the best examples of people coming over. I guess McGregor's probably the closest we've had to someone who's a high-level striker. We can erase the Askren thing because he was never known for his striking, but it is different, Kendrick. As someone who covers both sports, you know that it's one thing to, have good striking in MMA, but in boxing, it's totally different. It's a lot more refined in terms of how the striking plays out. So, I would agree with Tyson there. I would pick Tyson Fury in that fight. Why would I pick the MMA guy? Doesn't make much sense other than I'd maybe be biased, right?
Yeah, he's definitely ready for that matchup. It's just kind of funny how he like so casually. That bump inside wasn't none of me. Why would you bring him up? Basically, like he was kind of insulted.
Yeah. Hey, but we got to ask the questions. How was the whole media coverage this week? It looked like things were open up a little bit more in terms of what you had access to, because we're used to the pandemic style of covering events.
Well, I know you don't really cover. You cover the boxing event, but you haven't like covered like Canelo. Basically, the best way I can sum it up for people that cover one but not the other. If you're an MMA journalist and you seeing this, it's like the Wild Wild West in boxing. You don't have crazy rules. You don't have PR people like saying you can't do this and that. It's a Wild Wild West, which is good and bad because like a lot of people want to. Why don't you talk to Canelo so much? I haven't seen Canelo in a year and a half. It was a funny thing, but I've been to 8. This was my 9th Canelo fight. So him and his team are familiar with your boy. So they're like, oh, it's our man. And I happen to be here from Dallas. So they felt ultra comfortable. This is their second home. It's my first home. So it's a little bit of relationship building and help me pull off what I pulled off this week. But
and just sorry to interrupt there. You just reminded me of something that happened to me. Was it back in 2019? And the difference between covering MMA events and boxing, especially the UFC. UFC is very strict to the point of where I remember we were waiting to do like an open workout or something. We were back at the fighter hotel. I did an interview with like a prelim fighter who was just in the hotel room. We ended up talking and got an interview of it or whatever. The UFC came up to me and got mad and they said, if you want to do any access with our fighters, you have to go through us. And I'm like, because I think they were worried about the fighter or something, like that fans would see the fighter and like come up and talk to them. But I'm like, I'm doing you guys a favor here. I'm helping you promote this card because these prelim fighters are not even getting the love they probably need. They're not going to be at a media day. So what's the big deal? But I found that kind of interesting because like you said, if you even saw your stuff this week, I mean, you just went right up to Tyson Fury. You just went up to Canelo. It wasn't like you had someone like, playing Patrick Ewing and trying to block you out of it, right?
No, I have a relationship with these guys. I covered the crazy thing, the Fury thing. I'm gonna go. I could be real. It actually surprised me. I covered Fury 1 and 2 with Wilder. But I was looked at more of a Wilder guy because I'm cooler with Wilder on a personal level. I know problems with Fury or his team. In fact, his brother, they like the cool brother from Texas. Yeah. So they saw me here, so they come to me. I never even met Billy Joe Saunders, but by me being cool with Fury, Billy Joe's like, oh, the brother is cool. Like literally, he says that. Come over here, brother. If you saw the video, he goes off talking. Props to that man. People talking about he quit. Dude got his orbital ball. I don't think he can leave Texas for like 2 weeks. He had surgery, major surgery yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. We see really crappy fans in MMA, but in boxing, these people who said come on, people.
The dude didn't quit. Like the dude, he fought a good fight. He was in a competitive fight until he got stopped. So it's nothing. He came to fight. We see a lot of people get in the ring with Canelo, and they get big-eyed. That dude was. He thought he was going to win the fight. He came to win. He just got beat by a better man. But he's legitimately a top 20 fighter in the world. He just not on that Canelo level we saw on Saturday, but he's a legit fighter. Dude's a 2-division world champ.
Yeah, it was a great fight, good card overall. Again, it's really, boxing's been giving us a lot of good fights this year, and even stuff like Triller, it's sort of dominating the headlines, right? Everyone was talking about Canelo last week. Not many people, and I can even admit this is an MMA guy. We're not talking about the UFC card last weekend. Like there really was not a lot of buzz. The main event took a big hit. It was supposed to be Dillashaw Sanhagen. We got Marina Rodriguez and Michelle Watterson instead. Going that toe-to-toe with Canelo, it's not going to work out well, right? So
Pops to Carly Hodges. She tried good. She's just too little.
Yeah, she's an atom weight. She was fighting. Not only was she fighting a fellow strawweight,
she basically fought essentially 2 weight class over.
Exactly. Yeah, and you could see how much bigger Rodriguez was, and that did play a role in the fight. I wasn't surprised by the outcome at all. So
I was watching it because Michelle's a personal friend of hers. I like literally watched it in the arena. That's the only fight I watched from beginning to end, and I watched it in bits and pieces. Tell me this with Geoff and Neal. It seemed like Neal won that 3rd round, but it was 1-1 going to that 3rd round. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, it was. I think Neal won the first, Magny won the second.
I just watched the 3rd round, so that's why I was going off. I just watched the 3rd round. Geoff seemed like he gassed.
Yeah, if you read his post on Instagram after the fact, and this is something we'll talk to Neal about, is you could just tell that he still feels like he's having health issues. If you remember last year, he nearly died. It wasn't COVID related. It was something really serious health wise. I can't remember the exact name of what disease he had or whatever, but it was pretty serious. And he basically said that he hasn't felt the same since that's happened. So I think some extended time off for Geoff Neal might be worth it in the cards. It was still close though. Like some people had scored it for Neal. I thought Magny clearly won, but again, to go out there and still have these issues and still be able to put on a good performance, I thought is something to his credit. But now the reality is he's lost back-to-back fights, a guy that we thought might have been a title challenger.
Yeah. But I think the UFC, they know the health issues, not an excuse. They know how real it is. I think they're going to work with him. But his crazy thing has nothing to do with that. During Canelo fight week, we have a big press conference on Thursday. And that's the only time they were right in front of us, like scripted. And Wednesday night, I get an email about 5:00. Hey, you can come to Miami. You can talk to the world champion, 8-time world champion, Korean Hall of Famer Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. And then I knew something was going to be up because in real time, that thing was 2 p.m. Eastern time, Miami on Thursday. Canelo's press conference was 1 p.m. Central time here in Dallas. So it was like scheduled like that. So the viral moment, from what I'm gathering, it was supposed to get intense. But he crossed the line when he took the hat and all shit hit the fan. But it was like, but if there's two people that would get together and script something like that, it would be the Pauls and Floyd. But I think the hat thing took a whole nother thing. Like my man Floyd's a beam with his little shag on their head. I'm pretty sure that was not part of the script. The Pauls like try to okie doke him. So it might be some little real bad blood. But that's funny how much that fake fight got some real ass attention.
Yeah, no, it did. I know we're waiting for our next guest, but I do want to finish my thoughts on the whole Floyd Mayweather thing because I think it had to have been a little bit scripted. All the cameras that were perfectly shooting everything, I know they were there anyways for the presser, but I found that interesting with what had happened. And you know what it reminded me of, Kendrick? Do you remember when Conor McGregor took Jose Aldo's belt during the presser leading up? That's what that reminded me of, where, you know, it's one of the Paul brothers taking Mayweather's hat, same sort of thing. It's like, it's personal. I mean, he took something from Floyd Mayweather. It's, they're lucky it didn't get even worse because, you know, Floyd's not someone who's just going to lie down for a guy like, Jake Paul, right?
Did you see that? Did you see all the videos? Fuck him up. Like some of these people in boxing, they have their stuff together, these YouTube channels. Like one guy in particular, he flew out that morning and I saw his ass that night. So he went to Miami, got the viral moment and came back to Dallas and was laughing about it. And he knows Floyd like I do. He said he thinks the hat part was not scripted, but everything else was part of the script. And the pause, I did a swerve at the end.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how that worked. Every YouTube channel I saw had footage of that whole thing. Like basically after it happened. Did you notice that? Like everybody was posting that video. They were taking it, reposting it, whatever. So that definitely dominated, the headlines. And we had this great fight with Canelo as well.
They're here to stay. Canelo has a YouTuber. I never heard of him named Taylor Holder. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
He was after the fight. I didn't even know who he was. And we're sitting there talking and like, yeah, man. We like your flavor. Look up, this motherfucker's got 8 million views on IG. I mean, fans. It's like this dude's like legit.
Yeah,
YouTube dudes are not going nowhere, and they're smart enough. Like Canelo showed him on his story. Canelo doesn't show nothing but boxing and occasional little like family pictures on his stories. So him being on Canelo's story was like a big deal, and people were like blowing this stuff up. So these YouTube dudes are getting smarter and smarter. That maybe they need to put the blueprint on how to do business in combat sports.
They're certainly infiltrating the boxing world, right? And that's why we're having fights like Floyd and Logan Paul, right? So it's not going away anywhere. You're completely right about that as well. As we're still waiting for our next guest to come in here, who else did you get to see? I saw our guest that we had on, Jamel Herring. I saw your photo with him. Who else did you?
I kind of went. He told you hi. He said he definitely wanted to get back in the ring and come back on the show.
Oh, of course, friend of the show. That was great.
Yeah, we watched two prelims. We watched the fight where the dude fell out. We were sitting second row, just him and his wife were chilling second row, and then Tyson Fury comes and sits down with us. They're top rate guys. So I'm thinking like, I'm with two of the top 10 fighters in the world. It's like no big deal. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then I talked to Demetrius Andrade. I didn't know he was gonna do what he do. He ended up getting to with Canelo and the post fight conference. I think it was kind of scripted too, because that's not his personality, but it was kind of funny hearing Canelo cuss at the dude in Spanish. I mean, English.
This is the second time this has happened. Canelo got mad. What was the fight he had before this, where after the fight, I think it was some of Jake Paul's entourage was in the ring because they were trying to promote, I think,
he said, "Get the fuck out of here."
that one. Yeah, exactly. That one too. It's true. I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Sign me up. So, no, it's good. You know what? All this stuff is only going to help Canelo because we're seeing sort of the human side of it, right? When you have that language barrier, it's pretty tough to resonate with your average, fan that doesn't speak Spanish, right? So I think that's the type of stuff that's going to win him fans over. It's like Joanna and Jacek reminds me of that a little bit, where, her English was broken, but you could understand what she was saying, and it was almost endearing to fans. And you were seeing that now, I think, with Canelo.
You know what? I know how Tui regrets the first night when I didn't really know how good she was. I knew I had not heard of her. I was at the Sparta fight when she got the belt. So we're after the fight, like after the post fight, and they had like food, and I was having to eat all day. So I ate me a sandwich. She like scarfed down like 2 of them, and she's like, I'm like, congratulations, champ. She says, I'm gonna have this belt for a long time. And some told me I should have took a picture with it then that night, and I regret it to this day. I'm like, that's when her star was born.
Yeah, no, it was very, very endearing. Hopefully, we're going to see her back in the cage here soon. She's in a tough spot, right? Rose is the champ again.
Yeah. And that war, I keep telling everybody, I don't want to listen to the MMA world because it happens a lot in boxing. That war took a lot out of her and Wei Lee. You see what happened to Wei Lee? When you start seeing stuff that happened to folks that never happened before, they're never the same, or that's Father Time tapping on that shoulder.
Speaking of, I guess we're just waiting for our next guest. He's going to be here. But I was gonna say, speaking of tapping on the shoulder, that was going to be an awesome. That was going to be an awesome segue. But we're still waiting for our next guest here. I guess there's a connection issue. We're gonna. Oh, there we go. I think we have our next guest. Phil, do you want to bring her in here? We're going to be joined here by flyweight Andrea Lee, who's going to be fighting this weekend. Very much thankful for Andrea for taking some time here today. Whenever she's ready, we can bring her on. Otherwise, Kendrick and I. Oh, she keeps dropping out. Okay, I guess we're working on it. This is why we have a producer.
That's what producer Phil's on it, man. Props to you, Phil. He's doing his thing.
But a really important fight this week. Again, this card, it's taken some hits. This UFC 262 card.
I don't even know how to. But sometimes I've been to a couple cards where it's like that not to this extent, but it's happened. It ended up being by some good action. But yeah, it's definitely that takes out the steam from a fan appeal from it than what it was like 2 weeks ago.
There we go. Andrea, how are you? Good to hear you. Do we have anyways, go ahead, Kendrick.
I can't really hear you because it's stuttering right now. I'm just waiting for that to pass. Hopefully it passes.
Okay, we'll see.
So how's training been going for you, Miss Lee? I see you've been everywhere, been in Colorado, out there Louisiana, Texas, you've been everywhere.
I didn't hear anything you said.
He was just asking you how training was going, because I know you've been doing a lot of cross training this camp.
It sounds very stuttery. It's just stuttering.
Oh, no worries. I wonder if we can try and get her off video and maybe just do audio. That might work better. We'll see. We'll try. Andrew, can you hear us now?
Starting to slowly.
Okay, we were just asking.
Oh. You go, Jack.
I was just going to ask you, where did you end up training for this camp? Because we saw a lot of cross training. I know you got to train in Colorado as well.
This is terrible.
Okay, no worries. Maybe Phil we'll bring her back in a sec here, and we'll see if we can fix some of the audio issues. Maybe get her video off. That might help a little bit there. Again, we're just waiting for Andrea Lee. Some connection issues. That's the beauty of doing this show. You never know what's going to happen.
She's been whatchamacallit. I've seen her in Colorado. She does some stuff in Louisiana. She's been everywhere. This is a big fight for her and Antonina Shevchenko, because either one of them could move up the rankings. It would be weird. Like, what would Antonina Shevchenko do if she was the number one contender? Because she's not gonna fight Valentina.
Well, no, but she's not even in that spot anyways, because Antonina struggled a little bit too. She's actually, even though she's coming off a win in her last fight, she's alternated wins and losses her entire UFC career. She won her first fight, lost her second one, won the third one, lost the fourth one, won the fifth one. So kind of a tale of inconsistency there. Oh, we got Andrea back there. Are you there, Andrea?
Can you hear us?
No worries. Just, I don't know if you can turn off your video on. Maybe we could just get her to turn off the video there. That might work a little bit better. See if we can get.
Do you hear us, Andrea?
Y'all could text me the questions.
We could write them in here.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see that message I just sent in the chat there, Andrea. Can you see it or no? Maybe we can do like smoke signals or something. That might work. No worries. Okay, probably a good idea, maybe Phil, to pull her out and see if we can do something with her. Just maybe getting her audio, or just getting audio on instead.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, because that's what I'll do sometimes. Is I'll just get the guest on, just have their video off, and and get all that sorted out as well. So yeah, if she can't hear us, obviously we can't do the interview, or at least.
Hey, I see we got on the show.
Yeah, we got her exactly. And obviously Andrea with the big fight here, and we can kind of set this up a little bit too. It's almost a must win here for Andrea in the fight. She's coming off 3 straight losses. Good competition though. Joanne Calderwood, Lauren Murphy, Roxanne Modafferi. Murphy and Calderwood are actually fighting in a few weeks as well. So I think we got to get you to see if you can text Andrea and see if she can just do audio only. So if you want, I can sort of man the ship while you're doing that if you want, Kendrick. Or are you on your phone right now?
Yeah, well, I'm good.
You're good? Did you are you able to text Andrea or no?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just let her know if she can just turn her video off and then just do audio only. That might work. There should be a way to like disable your camera, I think, with StreamYard. But yeah, for the rest of you out there watching, Andrea coming into this 3 losses in a row. She was undefeated as a starter UFC career, winning 3 straight fights. Veronica Macedo, Ashley Evans Smith, Montana De La Rosa, and then lost a split decision to Joanne Calderwood. And that Lauren Murphy fight, that was on that UFC 247 card. Kendrick, in Texas, there was some bad judging in that one. I think some people felt like,
but she's actually from Texas, which is crazy.
I know, it's nuts. And actually, Lauren Murphy trains in Texas as well too. So I don't know if
what's she train? Wait, I'm sorry. Don't she train down there with Derek Lewis though?
I think so. Yeah, it's Gracie School. I think is where they train there as well. So we just have to see what happens. Any update on Andrea, or I guess has she texted you back or anything, or no?
I haven't heard anything back.
It's all good. We got plenty to talk about if it doesn't work out getting Andrea on. But
since Antonia, she fights similar to that Valentina. She has a similar style, but like she doesn't have the power or the skill.
Great.
Oh, let's see now. Andrea, can you hear us?
He hears Andrea.
Sorry about that.
He hears.
Can you hear us? Check.
Okay, so it started stuttering again. It was like I as soon as I went to go look at my text and then typed and texted you back, it started.
There you go. Technical difficulties. It happens. It's the beauty of doing this show. But if there's anyone who can hold water when we got technical difficulties, it's us. So.
Yeah, but the thing about Antonio is like she has a similar style to her sister, but she doesn't have the power or the skill set. It's like I would call it a JV, but she's like the JV.
Well, no, there's a weakness there. We saw that in the Caitlin Chukagian fight. She was able to get taken down pretty easily and sort of,
and she can't wrestle.
Yeah,
she's not dictating the terms of the fight. She has problems. She can't adjust, but she can't get you against that cage and beat you up though.
It's true. She's got good striking. If the fight stays standing, that's where things will get interesting. But if Andrea is able to get this to the ground, it's going to be very interesting because obviously Andrea's got a ground game.
But I think Andrea should just go up in there, for lack of a better term, and go ham. Just go up in there, and just make it. We just gonna fight because you can tell that Antonia, like her sister, fights at a controlled pace.
Yeah. And she's, Muay Thai background. She was in Lion Fight. We've seen Antonina have a lot of success in the the Muay Thai and kickboxing world. But in terms of MMA, it's a whole different ballgame. You got to have that ground game. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to fight the elites of the elites. So it's a big fight for both fighters. Like I said, Antonina struggled with consistency, has not won 2 straight fights in the UFC. Andrea Lee, 3 straight losses. She needs this win. If she doesn't win this, there's a possibility she could get cut. I'm not sure a contract situation, but typically you don't see fighters survive after 4 straight losses, right?
I thought she had 2 losses.
She's got 3 losses in a row. It's Joanne Calderwood, Lauren Murphy, and Roxanne Modafferi. So,
but those are 3 top 10 fighters, though.
It's true. Sometimes they give some leeway, but you just sort of the general rule. The rule in general is that typically if it's 4 losses, you're cut. We're just being told that Andrea will not be joining us. I don't think. Oh, maybe we will. Let's see. We're trying it out here. 5th time's a charm. If we can't get it, it's not a big deal. We can thank Andrea for her time and everything else. All right, do we have you there now, Andrea? Doesn't look like it. That's okay, Phil. We tried to get her on. It tried to work out. We tried to give the goods for you people, but that's okay. Connection issues are going to happen, and the beauty of doing this, on here is that you're going to get technical difficulties.
I'm interested to see what the UFC does for this division because you got to give Valentina some new meat.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She'll probably fight the winner of Lauren Murphy and Joanne Calderwood. That's like a #1 contenders fight. That's
one of them.
No, but okay, and especially in the case of Murphy hasn't lost in a while, so I could see them doing that. Joanne Calderwood was supposed to fight Valentina, and then if you remember, she took a fight instead, and then she ended up losing that fight. So Murphy's on a 4-fight win streak. I think that's that's why she's fighting Calderwood. And Calderwood, same thing. She's got a couple losses. She lost to Maya, lost to Kagan, but she's still someone that's got a good resume. So I could see them doing something with that, right? So.
Yeah, it's like we talk about clearing out division. She's cleared out the division, literally.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right for the most part, but it's still one of those things where, they got to give her challengers, right? So we'll sort of see what happens there. Hopefully we'll have better luck with our next guest, Neil Magny. He's supposed to be on the next.
I know we talking about UFC, but Pop Summer Man Rumble getting back in the win column. But he got dropped. I saw that highlight. I went to drop my phone. I ain't never seen that happen. I thought, and the dude put them hands on his ass in the first round. But like the professional he is, he recovered and blasted his ass in the second round. But that first round, though, that dude put them hands on Rumble. That was a 10-8 round. Yeah, that was a 10-8 round. That first round was a 10-8 round.
No, it certainly was. And I will say this to Rumble. I mean, credit to him because he was supposed to fight Yoel Romero. Like that was the marquee fight. You're fighting a new guy who not a lot of people know about. I mean, the pressure's on Rumble, right? He's supposed to be the A side there, right? So.
Yeah, but another thing too, I think someone had to do with ring rust. But so I'm behind the scenes. I'm trying to get him on, so hopefully he can tell us himself. But yeah, I was surprised by something, man, like this. Like DC didn't even do that. Yeah. We know how great DC is. He got dropped.
Yeah, it happens. It happens when you're off for that long, right? Anything can happen, and new weight class. Well, not new weight class, but he's fought in multiple weight classes, right? He's fought at heavyweight, he's fought at welterweight, so he's a light heavyweight, though. I think that's what we can agree that Rumble is. So yeah, there's a good Bellator card. Hey, new champion in Bellator too, Sergio Pettis, finally getting some hardware. Anthony Pettis' brother.
Why am I acting like he was destined to get a belt though? Like Anthony was always picked before I even knew who Anthony Pettis was. Like, oh, he's a future champion. I don't think his brother was like pegged that way. Other than his last name, he's earned his belt. But that props to him. I'm not trying to hate on him by any stretch, but I heard people act like he was supposed to be destined to be a champ. I'm thinking like there's a reason UFC let him go without getting a title shot.
Well, I think also it's the flyweight division. The UFC doesn't really care that much about the division. And he does have a win over Joseph Benavidez. That was probably the biggest win of his career. And he has a win over Brandon Moreno as well, who's going to be fighting for the title. So I can understand people feeling like there was some upside there, but really he's going to get more love in Bellator. He would have been on a UFC prelim had he continued in his career. He's the main event in Bellator, right? You can't beat that. And I'm sure the pay is better than what he's getting as well, right? So
gotcha. This fun. I saw a random post for Triple C, Mr. Henry Cejudo. I want to talk to him just to see what he's doing. Because too many people talk about a lot of people talk about, oh, I want to retire as a top. He literally retired the top as like top 2 or 3 fighter in the world. Then came out those knockouts, and then he's like, no, y'all ain't give me what I want. Peace.
Well, I don't think he'll ever come back for that exact reason. I think he thinks he's worth more than he really is. And I think the UFC looks at him and says, look, you're a great fighter. We like kind of the gimmick and stuff that you're running with, but you're not a Conor, you're not a John Jones. He wants that type of money, and that's where they can't come to an agreement because what big fights are for him there? Holloway might be the only one. I don't think anyone cares if he fights Volkanovski. At bantamweight, he already fought Dominic Cruz. Like, who's he going to fight that's like a legend? Maybe Jose Aldo? I don't know, but I don't think to the casual fan, that's like a fight we're dying to see. That's where I think they're going to run into issues.
That kind of like I won't say cheapens the sport. Like, it shouldn't matter like the name if it's really about the sport. That's what MMA is. Their problem as a whole. UFC and Bellator, people put more value on name than the actual sport.
But it comes down to dollar signs. It's like Demetrius Johnson, one of the most dominant UFC champions we've ever had. Nobody cares. I was at the Bell Center in Montreal. They had to close off half the section because people didn't come out for that. They didn't think he was a headliner. I was in Vancouver when Demetrius Johnson fought Bagatinov. I had people walking out when the main event started after Rory McDonald fought. That's just it's just one of those things where it doesn't translate. Certain fighters don't translate, right?
You have people exactly walking out. Your people
true.
Walking out, James.
I'm sitting cage side right after Rory's fight with Tyron Woodley. Everyone's leaving. They're like, we're not going to stick around and watch Demetrius Johnson. And he's not that, he lives in Seattle, right? Like, it's not even that far. Like, you'd think some of the Pacific Northwest fans would come down and watch the fight. Apparently not. So again, and it has nothing to do with Johnson's skill set. It's just the fact that he's not as big of a draw as, say, like a Conor McGregor or Adesanya or any of those guys, right?
Yeah. What's we call it? Roy McDonald's one of those people that got pegged to be a future champion. I didn't see it. I didn't see the big deal with him. He's not special. He's a really good fighter, but he's not special.
He almost got there. To be fair, though, he almost got there. Robbie Lawler, right? That was the closest he got.
Prime example, what I just tell you about Joanna and them, have either one of those dudes, I was at that fight, which is crazy. Has either one of those dudes been the same since that fight?
Nope.
Exactly. That's how Joanna and them is. It's female style. Like that stuff, it's cool to watch, but like both dudes got stretchered off and all that stuff. It was crazy. But they never been the same.
Weili Zhang didn't take a ton of damage in that Joanna fight. They did trade back and forth, but if you look at
what people realize it's because she didn't get the hematoma that Joanna got. Joanna hit her over 200 times. She had to. She wore it better.
Yeah.
She wore it better. She definitely wore it better.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with you on that. Still waiting for our next guest here. Neil Magny should be joining us here shortly. In the meantime, what else? What? Tell me some other stuff behind the scenes, because this is like I'm living vicariously through you, Kendrick, because I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck here. So you're my only hope of me enjoying what it's like to cover an event.
Well, they had us in the bubble, but like by me being local in Dallas, I could go in and out the bubble, which is kind of crazy because like I've been in the UFC bubble. Like the craziest one was the first one in August between Stipe and DC3. Shit, they followed you everywhere but the restroom, bro. They were not playing games. So this was the opposite. Like, yeah, you got your test. Okay, you have your wristband on at all times. They were the COVID test. Like, pops to the UFC, they have all these procedures they have behind the scenes they always do, and it seems kind of annoying. But when you do like somebody that's not as organized, you're like, that's why they have you do it that way on the UFC, because it was a shit show. I'm just glad the shit show was in my hometown so I could be relaxed. I would have been pissed being in another city. Like I got on top of traveling, I got to deal with this craziness. So it's cool just to drive your own car and deal with that. Like, okay, whatever, I can go back home at the end of this. Some of those people have to stay there. They're flying from all over because for big fights and I know people come from all over like yourself for MMA. For boxing, it's a lot different because you got people literally all over the world. You got the UK faction. You got the Mexican faction. You had a lot of Europeans come over this time. Usually I've seen some people mixed in with Canada, but Trudeau won't let you go.
No, it's crazy. I'm still waiting to get my shot. I'm on the list. I just need a scheduled appointment, but I did that like a couple weeks ago. So we'll see when that happens or that takes place. But yeah, a lot.
Take Pfizer. I don't know. Do you have more than one?
No. I'm going to take one of the good brands. It's like
you're in North America, but I don't know how it is over there.
No, we have Pfizer. We have Pfizer. That's the one I want to take too. I don't want to take any risks. I want to get the good stuff. If I'm going to take it, I want to get the best. Right? So,
yeah, I took both. I took both Pfizers. The only thing I had was a tight. The first time my arm was like tight for 30 minutes. That's it. And I got 2 shots that day because I was kind of under the weather. So I got 2 shots that day. Yeah. And the second time I got one and it was tight for like maybe an hour. That's it. I didn't have any and my head or got to go to the restroom 20 times. I had no side effects.
That's good. Yeah, I'm expecting whatever. I just want to get it. So
I literally since then took like 20 COVID tests from going to all these events. Come out with Canelo and the UFCs. I put between 13 and 14 COVID tests to pass them all.
Good. Yeah, I've only had one COVID test, the one up the nose. That's not very good. One thing you kind of touched on there with the Canelo fight was the amount, the media that came out to the event. How much media would you say was there? Did it compare to like one of the bigger UFC cards, or how did it feel?
It compared to the UFC cards, but they had it scaled down. It would have, if it wasn't a pandemic, it would have been on. That's the crazy thing. It still was pretty intense, but it wasn't nowhere near what I've seen like for Mayweather or like Mayweather McGregor because of the pandemic. Because it would be interesting to see how many Europeans would have came over. There was a good contention, but not as many as had there been non-COVID. Yeah, they really thought Billy Joe was going to win. They really did.
No, I know. Which
what you think about the intros? See, that's another thing. Whenever I'm working on some stuff with Canelo on a personal level to go out to his gym and go see him in San Diego and basically hang out with him for a day. That's what we're trying to work on. But like his intro and stuff now, you can tell he wasn't doing none of that. The last two, it's like he knows he's the man. And see, I didn't ask any post-fight conference questions because I was just tired. I was just kind of laid back and let everybody else. But the people missed the mark. The question I would have asked, and I got up on the mic, if I felt like it was, what was it? This was about Canelo Alvarez's brand. And more importantly, he wants to let everybody know, I am the best in the world. I am that guy. Nobody asked him that. That's what his message was. Of course, he wanted the belt, but that's part of his legacy. But at the end of the day, he wanted everybody to know, right now, May 2021, Canelo Alvarez is the best boxer in the world, and don't forget about it. And that's the message he meant to send to everybody. He saw the emotion once he stopped him.
Yeah. So you didn't go to the presser after, or did you?
I did. I just stayed in the back. I didn't actually question it. I got footage of my man Andrade came up in there, and Canelo's like, "You fight no fucking nobody. Who the fuck did you fight? You fight fucking nobody."
I love that stuff.
Get the fuck out of here.
No, because I remember. Do you remember? I know I always tell this story, but do you remember what was it? The Habib and Iaquinta card. Remember, you and I went to the presser after, and it was like 3 in the morning. And you had to catch it. You had to catch. I think it was a train. Was it a train to New Jersey? I had to catch a flight. You remember that? I was sitting right
my stuff there. Like I literally dozed off on my suitcase for about 15 minutes, bro. So I had to sleep for like a day and a half. That was crazy.
That was so late. If you ever, for anyone out there, if you're ever covering a card in New York, you're literally there till like 4 in the morning. It sucks,
especially when it's an MSG. And then one time I got caught there. I had to get back to where I was staying at in New Jersey. Man, I took a Uber. It was $128.
Oh, no, you didn't really?
Yeah, like it's crazy. As after the Teofimo Lopez Terrence Crawford card. It was December of 2019. I was an MSG Ubering back to New Jersey in the middle of the damn night.
Yeah, that's nuts. You got to come prepared. It's almost not even worth it to get a hotel room. Like because I usually get the hotels, it's not even worth it to get a hotel room on the Saturday night because you literally don't get to sleep there. I don't think I've slept in my bed once. And that's not just UFC. I remember covering the Bellator card in New York, same thing. You're literally up and you have to go to the airport because I always like getting early flights, late nights and early flights. So there we go.
Yeah, one thing about this fight, they set the attendance record for the biggest attendance of an indoor boxing fight, but the thing that that made it was meant to be in Texas. Like I'm cool, it's in my backyard, but I'm really it's one of usually when fights are not in Vegas, it's like this should have been in Vegas. This should have been in Vegas. But this time was not one of those fights. It was meant to be here in Dallas at this time. It's not when anybody being in Dallas, it's just the moment in time. Because like a couple of fights have been in Dallas, it's like the timing was off. This was definitely the right time to have it in Texas, and because Canelo hasn't fought at that stadium in 5 years, he's even a better fighter than he is now. He's on top of his game. We got to see Pete Canelo at Cowboy Stadium in front of 73,000 people. You don't get no better than that.
What was the crowd like there? I mean, we see it on TV.
Oh, it was intense. They had 4 fights inside. They had 2 fights inside the main event. I see fights and fights all the time, but you never see them during the main event. People fight like leading up to the main event, but not during the main event because that's what everybody wants to see. They had 2 fights in the main event.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
No, it was nuts. Speaking of crazy, looks like we got Neil Magny joining us here on the program. We can welcome him in whenever he's ready. Phil, there he is. Neil, how's it going, man?
Neil.
Good. How are you guys?
Hey, we're doing good. Well.
Congrats on that win on Saturday. My man got his ranking right there. That's a man with confidence. He's like number 9 in your program, number 1 in your heart.
Sure.
Hey, Neil. One of the things you kind of talked about after the fight, we'll get into the performance itself, but it seemed like you were kind of irked that you were the underdog again. Did that sort of fuel you in this fight, where people were kind of writing you off and saying that Geoff was going to bounce back in a big way?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely took a little bit personal when I was down there, but like it wasn't like personal towards Geoff or anything else like that. I just felt like it gave me the pressure I needed to go out there and get the job done. Like I know for a fact I came up short against Mike Chiesa. I know I can perform a lot better than I did in that fight. So being the underdog, being where I was at on the card, being all that other stuff, I could definitely attribute it to like my last performance. So I didn't necessarily take it out on like him or say like, oh, screw this, we're going to do that. But it was definitely motivating to go out there and get the job done, knowing that I was the underdog and knowing that I was put where I was on the card and that kind of thing.
Neil, what adjustments have you made since the Ponce Davio fight? Because Geoff has similar type power, but you managed it very well. It was kind of like I could tell by your body language in the third round. It's kind of like I knew I was going to be here. I knew I was going to weather this. It's kind of like all the stuff you've done since that Ponce Davio fight came into play. Did that help you get the win? And what adjustments have you made since that fight to deal with heavy hitters?
That Ponce Davio fight made some huge adjustments for me. I mean, the biggest thing was fighting style in general. I mean, like picking up techniques where I'm not leaving myself exposed for those low calf kicks and that kind of thing. So making an adjustment in my stance and being aware of the techniques that I'm leaving myself open for, depending on where I'm staying in the cage and that kind of thing. And then the other part is just the tactical approach, realizing the type of fighter I'm fighting, and the different ranges that I need to fight at, and when to close distance properly in order to avoid those big shots.
Was there anything about Geoff that surprised you that maybe you weren't expecting in the fight?
The biggest thing that surprised me is when he engaged the grappling. I mean, I for sure thought he was going to try to keep his distance and land those power shots, but when he chose to close the distance and chose to be the one that clinched me up, that definitely surprised me and threw me off guard. I don't think I accounted for that in training at all. Expected him to be the aggressor as far as the clinch and the wrestling was concerned.
How much confidence you get does this give you, being that somebody that's been rising up the ranks and kind of slow his track? I know he had a loss already, but you slowed his tracks, and when the money was on the table, that experience came into play in round 3. I was watching you at the Canelo fight, and like people were like, why you didn't so quiet? I literally watched the whole 3rd round. When I turned, y'all was squaring up. You could just tell that y'all both at that time, without even watching anything, that it was a close fight, because both of y'all like, I gotta get this. I had that look on your face, and you came up and took it to in that first minute and set the tone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I knew the first round was a toss-up. The second round, I got that one. And in that 3rd round, I was like, all right, you know what? Here it is. I got to get this done. So I went out there and tried to take control right away and not leave any question marks as far as, like, if it were to go the distance about who would win the fight and that kind of thing. And one of the things that did concern me in the back of my mind was the fact that he was Geoff Neal and I was Neil Magny in that fight. I didn't want someone to mix up the names accidentally. Yeah, definitely played. And like it didn't, and like people were joking about it, but leading up to the fight, people were like, "Oh, Neil versus Neil, ha ha ha!" Like it was like the dad joke of the century leading up to the fight. But once we got the fight week, it actually happened a few times where people were mistaking Geoff Neal for me at times because of the name being so close together. So like when that started happening during fight week, I was like, I don't know if I want to take the chance and have a close fight going to the scorecards. Like, so that was definitely a motivating factor to keep pushing the pace in that fight and try to find an opportunity to finish.
Were you pretty confident when it went to the judges' scorecards? You never know some of the judges. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it being a mistake because of the name thing. I was pretty confident when it went to the scorecards that I had won the fight. Even after the fight, Geoff was able to agree, like, hey, you know what? I agree with the other 2 judges, but that 30-27, that was some bull. And I was like, yeah, bro, I agree with that one. That first round, you definitely covered some pretty big shots, and I think you got that one for sure.
And because we know MMA is built on sportsmanship, knowing you and Geoff personally, it's cool seeing 2 brothers that are very good guys go at it and kind of like have that bond, because y'all both are great dudes.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because I have a training partner that's one of Jeff's old training partners. So him watching the fight and even leading up to it, he's just kind of like, man, this is the one matchup I never looked forward to. This is the one matchup I didn't want to see happen. Like 2 of my friends going out there and fight one another. But I think we handled it well. I mean, we're both able to go out there and showcase our skill set. It's unfortunate that in this game there's always going to be one loser. But at the end of the day, neither one of us is so banged up to the point that we can't progress our careers or that kind of thing. So it played out pretty well at the end of the day.
Who's the mutual training partner you guys had? I was curious.
So we both trained with Lavelle Simpson.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting because leading up to the fight, Geoff just happened to be driving down the street where Lavelle's dad lives. Like, hey man, you ready for the fight? And the week prior, I was in Texas watching Lavelle fight and hanging out with his dad. So there's definitely some like overlap as far as like the circle around our fight camps and that kind of thing.
Well, how quick do you want to get back in? Are you going to try to be like that 2019 Neil Magny, get up in there 4 times, or are you going to take it easy?
No, absolutely. I'm going to get back in there as early as August. I mean, and during this fight, I had a couple of injuries I had to deal with making through this training camp. So I think it'll be smart for me to go ahead and heal those injuries up before I jump back into another training camp, especially since these opponents aren't getting any easier. I'm fighting some of the guys in the top of the division. I'm fighting some of these guys with a lot to gain and very little to lose. So at this point, I definitely make sure I'm going in there the best version of myself. And I think the only way I'm able to do that is to take the time off to heal these injuries and train properly leading into the next fight. Because this fight, I had 4 weeks notice for it, but luckily I was already in the gym training on other things anyway, so it wasn't that big of a transition. But having some of these injuries now, I feel like it'll be smart for me to just take some time off completely as far as like sparring and that kind of thing goes, heal up, and then have a solid training camp.
So when are you thinking in terms of next fight? Thinking maybe the fall or summer, right amount of time off?
I'm still fighting summertime. I'm still thinking about August time frame. August is going to give me a solid 3 to 4 weeks, like just kind of heal up for a bit, and then jump into like a solid 8 to 9 week training camp. So I'm looking at August being the next potential date for me.
Okay, August still counts as summer, right? Because I know it's July as well. Is it July and August? Is it not? So it's kind of right there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm a summer baby. I was born in August, so August is definitely a summertime.
Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page there. I wasn't sure if I said the wrong thing. And then, in terms of a next opponent, I mean, there's a couple names that kind of come to mind. There's that Damian Maia and Bilal Muhammad matchup, maybe the winner of that. There's Vicente Luque, who just beat Tyron Woodley. I know you'll fight anyone, but are there any names in particular you think would be a fun matchup for you next? The Maia fight, obviously, if he wins, that would be a rematch, right?
For sure, the Damian Maia fight would definitely be a rematch. I mean, that fight would excite me, but the thing that would excite me most about that fight is like, if I get a rematch with Damian Maia, I don't want to just have a rematch where like I go out there and I point fight or I avoid his takedowns, that kind of thing. If I get a rematch with Damian Maia, I want to go in where he beat me. I want to take it to the ground and see how
okay.
Kind of thing.
That's ballsy. Ballsy.
That's just the kind of fighter I am. And I mean, sometimes it bites me in the butt. I'm like, you should have fought a different fight. But like at this point where Damian Maia is, I mean, it's pretty obvious that like the striking is not his best suit or whatever. And the ground is where he thrives. So I would definitely want to test myself on the ground with Damian Maia in the rematch if he were to get past
Muhammad. Yeah.
But the fight against Vicente Luque, I mean, that's a fight that's definitely on my radar. I mean, right now he's ranked very close to the top 5. He just submitted Tyron Woodley. He's on a pretty good win streak. So beating a guy like Vicente Luque definitely does a lot for my career as well. So those are definitely some fights that I'm eyeing.
Here's a 2-part question, Neil. What do you think of the state of your division? Y'all made your division main event at 261, the biggest card in the last year and a half. And what do you think about this notion that it's Kamaru Usman way up here and everybody else down here? Like it's not even close. That's the perception people are saying.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, it's just like the division is stacked. I mean, like it's anybody's game at this point. And the thing that makes it difficult is like trying to make a stake to fight for that title. Like you have guys who win 1 or 2 fights. Like, all right, that's it. I want my 2 fights in the top 10. I'm next in line for the title, and they're kind of holding out for that next opportunity, and it makes it difficult for the next guy to get his opportunity. Then you have things like that occurred, like where Masvidal stepped up, took the fight short notice. He came out short in a decision, so the UFC felt it was right to give him a rematch, even though he hasn't fought anyone since that first fight, and that panned out. So things like that come across as a bit frustrating at time because I would love to see the division keep moving, but I personally think it's a stacked division. I think it's neck and neck at this point. I mean, you look at the guys from 1 through 10. I mean, any one of those guys can give Kamaru a run for his money, and it's just that stacked of a division.
How would you fight him with after which the adjustments you see him make each time he's getting better? He's dropping people that had been dropped before. So is that intimidating? Or is that like, oh shit, I gotta work on my game to get this guy? He's like went from good to like transcending towards literally legendary status, literally.
Yeah, I mean, it's been cool to see. I mean, he's done his last couple training camps out here in Colorado with my team or whatever. So it's been cool to see him make those changes and see him finishing fights in the manner he has been doing. And it's been, even though he's supposed to be like I don't know, an adversary, what do you want to call him? It's been cool to see him make those adjustments, be where he's at right now. Like it's for me, it's been motivating because having him in the gym and see him putting that work day in and day out. It at first was one of those things like I was kind of bitter about it first. Like, man, what the hell is he doing in my gym? Like he came all the way from Florida and he's in my gym training with my training partners. I was kind of like upset about it at first, but then like as time went on, I had this shift and I was just like, hey, you know what? I'm here with the best guy in my division, quote unquote, in my gym. Rather than me being bitter or jealous or whatever else, well, I'm just taking this opportunity to learn. See what he's doing, see what he's adding to his game, which allowed him to get these results that he's getting, and try to apply that to my own game. And that's kind of been the approach that I've been taking. So now it's like, if I'm in the gym and I see him over there running sprints, I'm like, all right, cool. He did 3 sprints. I got to do 4. If I see him doing 4 rounds, I got to do 5. If I see him doing extra wrestling after practice, I got to do more wrestling than he did. So it's been pretty motivating to see him in the gym. And I think that's the kind of fire I needed at this point in my career to kind of get me over that next hump.
Last question, because I know we're running out of time here. I got to bring up his name just because it always comes up every time you win a fight or you're going to fight. Khamzat Chimaev. Is there any update on this guy? Because I think the latest now is that he said something, he wants to fight you. Like what's the latest on that? Do you think this ever happens?
Dude, like right now, it's literally up to him. Like it's about him, his health, his whole COVID situation, and figuring that out. I mean, do I think he deserved to fight a top 10 guy? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, like this is entertainment business as much as it is a competitive business. So if he wants to get in there and test himself against a top 10 guy, come on in and do it. I'm more than welcome to give him that opportunity and show him that he's not ready for it. And if he does happen to get past me, bravo, good job for you. But if he's able to fight, I mean, that's definitely not a fight that I'm looking to turn down at all.
And final question for me: do you think you and Kamaru will do battle in the cage for the belt in the next year and a half?
Within next year, that'd be an honor, dude. Like I said, like it's having him in the gym definitely made me more of a fan of his work ethic and what he does in the cage. If I'm doing the right things and applying myself right, I mean, I should be right there where he's at within the next year or so. So I mean, that's definitely something that can happen in the future. But right now, it's just kind of like, hey, you know what? You take care of your business, I take care of mine. We'll cross that bridge when the time comes.
And final thing, can you give us a shout out on your way out? Let people know who you are and let them know you're listening to the 1-2 podcast with Kendrick and Jake.
You guys listen to the 1-2 podcast with Kendrick and Jake. I've been you
gotta put your name out there. They gotta know who you are.
What's up, guys? This is Neil Magny. You guys listen to the 1-2 podcast with Kendrick and Jake.
James,
you almost got it, Neil.
I said James Lynch. That's what I said.
Yeah.
All right, one more time. Let's try it again.
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
This is Neil Magny, and you guys listen to the 1-2 podcast with James and Kendrick.
There you go. I like how you said the order in that as well. That's perfect, man. I appreciate it. Hey, Neil, thanks so much for the time. Best, congrats on the win, and enjoy some well-deserved time off, man.
Awesome, I appreciate it. Good talking to you guys.
Thanks as always, brother. I'll be in touch, Neil.
Awesome, for sure. Take care.
All right, there you go. That is Neil Magny joining us here, one of the big winners last
Jake,
weekend.
my new co-host, Jake.
Yeah, there you go. Jake Lynch. It's all good. It's funny because I talked to Neil before this fight. So
hey, you got a day. You said, I know your wife say tell you I got a day for the future one. There you go. Exactly. We can looks like we got Andrea Lee back. Here she is. Andrea, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
There we go. Sorry about that earlier.
Oh, no, it wasn't y'all's fault.
It's all good. Ooh. So how are you? You're, I guess, running around doing medicals. I mean, we got your fight on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I forgot that I had to get my pregnancy blood work done, so I had to run and do that. And I had just finished training, and so it popped in my mind, and I was like, crap, we have 30 minutes. We got to get there. So
there you go. It's all good. So
how is that? Ainsley, we said hi, you're mini me.
Huh?
Tell Ainsley we said hi, you're mini me.
Oh, yeah, I will tell her. She's at her grandmother's at the moment.
So how has camp been? I know you've been doing some training in California. Obviously, I do the podcast with one of your coaches, and I know you've been doing some training in Colorado as well. How did you structure things for this camp?
Well, I went to California for the first week, and I got some work there at MMA Gold with Jim and Aspen, and that kind of started that set the tune for the remaining portion of the camp. I came home. I was here for like a little bit, and I got some work here at SMAA and with Tony. And then we set off to Colorado, and we went out to Denver and trained with Justin Halton at Pound for Pound Fitness, and also went over to Elevation, and I got to work with Montana and some of the other females there. And so, I was able to get a lot of good work in this for this camp. And now, I've been back home for the past week, and I've just been kind of like finishing it off with, conditioning, cardio, and then just kind of light work here and there. Fit-ins, stuff like that. And it's been great. I feel really, really good about everything.
So do you feel confident this fight that you can go balls to the walls and make it an action-packed fight with her being so methodical and very plotted out? Do you think you're going to take chances and make her uncomfortable, or are we going to see you fight a technical fight? I like unconventional KGB going up in there swinging.
I know, and that's the plan. I feel like I have gotten to where I've been so focused on just trying to be so technical, and I worry and I kind of second guess myself on some things, and so I feel like, going into this fight and making it a fight and just bringing it to her is what I'm going to have to do. Because I do know she does like to circle out a lot, and she likes to counter, and, she picks her shots. She has been getting, she's been getting a lot braver, and coming forward and being aggressive with like her own takedowns and trying to fight for grappling positions and stuff. But I just think that, for this fight, I think that I'm gonna have to do what you just said, and kind of go out there and just bring it to her, and not necessarily worry about being so technical.
I know you guys are kind of different fighters, but did Caitlin Chukagian kind of give the blueprint on how to beat Antonina? Just because you take her down, you control her, and it seems like there's levels in terms of the division and her, in terms of her being a little bit behind the ball in that sense, in terms of her ground game. Is that something you look at and say, hey, I could probably do that?
Oh, for sure. I look at that fight and I'm like, I definitely see a lot of things, that have, been brought to light, and not necessarily like things I didn't already know, about Antonina. It's just, I guess Caitlin Chukagian kind of made it a little bit more clear. But I do know that Antonina has been working on her grappling, and I know that she's gotten a lot better since her last fight, or since our last couple of fights. So you never know who you're going to run into, you never know who's going to show up for a fight. So I can't just go in there and think it's going to be just, one-sided, that my jiu-jitsu is going to be superior to hers, because you just never know. I mean, people, develop at different like speeds, and, I don't want to go in there and underestimate anything, but, I feel confident. I feel very confident about this fight. I definitely feel more confident about my grappling in this fight than I did against Roxanne.
Okay.
Are you tired of people asking you about the Valentina question, about her being in the corners? Like, you're fighting Antonia, not Valentina. Is that getting? Are you getting tired of hearing that redundant, boring ass question?
Well, everybody knows that the two of them they're completely different fighters, I think.
Very.
Yeah, they're very different. But normally whenever I tell people who I'm fighting, they're like, "Who is that?" And then I have to explain it to them. They're like, "Oh, okay, you're fighting her sister." And I'm like, "Yes, I'm fighting Valentina's sister." So some people kind of like respond in that sense, because she's kind of overshadowed by Valentina. Everybody knows who Valentina is. And I know that Antonina, she's making her way, and she's trying to make make herself be known, not necessarily as Valentina's sister, but as herself, and, I think that, that's how I look at it. I'm fighting Antonina. I'm not fighting Valentina. She's not Valentina. So.
How much help is it, your boyfriend? I know his fight's not till July, so it's not like he has to be, in the thick of camp right now. You can focus on your fight. How much easier is that? Because I know obviously it's tougher when you guys have fights close together.
It makes it so much better. For one, he's not having to stress out about himself, and he's able to just kind of focus on helping me get prepared. And it's been really great, because he's been helping me with everything, with food, with supplements, reminding me, to be on my supplements, because I'm very bad about taking my supplements. But he's also been helping me, drive me everywhere, and he's been really awesome. I really give him a lot of credit. He drove most of the way to Colorado, most of the way back, and he drove. Man, those roads in Colorado are terrible and stressful. So he drove the whole time like we were there, and it was chaotic driving back and forth. 30 minutes to one way, 30 minutes back, different direction every single time, because our GPS took us different places every time, and it was that part sucked, but we made it happen. We made it work.
And you mentioned training in Colorado. I don't know if you got to see Rose Namajunas there, but she's coming off a big win over Weili Zhang. I know it's not your division, but what did you think of that win? Because a lot of people felt like Weili was going to take that no problem.
I had Rose winning that fight. For my picks, all 4 of my picks won. I wish I had bet some money, because I didn't. But every one of my picks won, and Rose, like I said, was one of them. I didn't think she was going to go out there and knock her out in the first 20 seconds, or however quick it was. I mean, it's
28.
20 seconds.
Yeah.
But it was impressive, man. I was happy to see that. She's like the upsetter. She upsets the champs.
Would you say y'all drove all over Colorado? Are you looking forward to the drive to Houston versus from Shreveport, since it's nice and it kind of gives you a little bit of time to get your mind? You don't have to be on a plane. I'm pretty sure for weight cutting that helps you out.
Yeah, the drive to Houston is not so bad. It's pretty and it's smooth. I'm I'm not necessarily looking forward to driving because I'm gonna have to be cutting weight, and I'm not gonna. But it's fine, I mean, I'll just be drinking a lot of water along the way, probably making a lot of stops. But it's like a 4-hour drive, so it's not that bad.
You have you got a lot of friends and families that you're pretty close to home that's gonna be down there. People hitting you over tickets and all that stuff.
I have a lot of people that say that they're getting tickets, and that they're gonna be there. A lot of my family can't make it, unfortunately, but some of them, I know my little brother's going, so that's good. But there's a lot of people that have said that they're going, and I don't know who all is, but I've had a lot of support. A lot of people reach out to me, so I'm excited, and I think it's gonna be nice to see some familiar faces out there, and just to see people back in the crowd anyway. Just to see people back out there in the audience.
And does it affect you that because you lost that close fight with Lauren there? Does that affect your psyche going back to the scene of the crime, or is it like another time, another place, or is that like shit? This might happen again if I don't get her up out of here. I might have to be
the scene of the crime. That was my first thought was like, shit, it's in Houston. I hope that the judges aren't mad at me. I hope that because I did kind of say some stuff, I mean, I made a public statement about how I was upset about some of the way it was handled. But hopefully I don't get the same judges, and hopefully it doesn't go to the judges.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get a finish. That's the plan.
So she's gonna take some chances. That's all I can ask for. Take some chances.
Take some chances. Yes, I plan on it.
Because you did kind of a mixed camp, who's going to be in your corner for this fight? I was curious.
I'm going to have Jim West, Tony Kelly, and then Justin Houghton.
Nice. Mm-hmm. That'll be good.
Yeah, nice.
I hate to use the word must win, but 3 straight losses. Is this sort of, a fight where you kind of need to shine here in order to kind of get to where you were before? Because I think people forget you were undefeated to start your UFC career before obviously the skid happened.
Yeah. It is must win. I definitely have to go out there and put on a show. I've got to get this win. So yeah, just got to leave it at that. I mean, I got to go out there and get a win no matter what, so I got to bring it to her.
Yeah. We need to get Jim to do one of those speeches like he gave Aspen when she fought Kunitsukai, and then you just go out there, bat it to hell, and finish Antonina, right? That's what's going to happen.
I know, right? Yeah. Him or Tony. I'm sure Tony's going to be on my ass the whole time.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Tony doesn't hold back.
How do you separate coach and boyfriend and girlfriend? How y'all separate that since it's kind of blurred lines?
Well, it's been a lot easier with me and Tony. I don't know. I mean, we've been doing well. In the beginning, I was like, no, I don't want you being in my corner. I don't want you training me or I don't want us doing anything together. I don't know, just because I just didn't want to mix all that. Like, I just wanted to have a boyfriend. I didn't want to have like a coach boyfriend or whatever. But it's kind of evolved, and I feel like he's
won you over. He's a great guy. I can vouch for that. Tony's a good dude.
We've overcome a lot, and I've gotten comfortable having him kind of coach me and stuff. I mean, he's been helping me out a lot, and I've been better like receiving it. It's been good. I really can't complain.
We know you wear the cowboy hats to the fight and all that. I know you're a big Donald Cowboy Cerrone fan. Unfortunate what happened to him over the weekend, losing to Alex Morono. What do you think his future is looking like at this point? Because obviously you can't take too many losses like that where you get finished in the first round.
Man, you never know with Cowboy. I mean, he's up and down. I mean, he'll probably come. I mean, if he has another fight, he might come back and shine. I mean, he's done that before, and not too long ago, people were saying that he needed to retire, and then he comes back and didn't he win like 3 in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was Dad Cerrone, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Cerrone. I mean, like, you just never know. I mean, I guess he just got caught. I don't want to say that it's time for him to retire or anything like that. Like, I love watching Cerrone fight,
And just last one for me, kind of tied to Cerrone, was him supposed to be fighting Diego Sanchez. Of course, he got fired by the UFC because of his coach and all this stuff. I don't know how much you've been paying attention to that, but have you ever seen a coach like this before that's kind of just taken over a fighter's career and to some degree just ruined it, right? His career.
I mean, like, that whole situation is crazy. I mean, I have been following it, and I've been just kind of like reading some things here and there. I've been watching the videos and the footage, and I've been listening to Diego talk. And I've been listening to his coach his coach talk. I mean, it's a strange relationship. It really is. I mean, it really sucks. I can't really put like I can't really say too much on it because I don't really understand the whole duo, I guess. But coaches can do that. I mean, it happens, and I mean, I can speak for experience. I've my ex. I mean, he had a lot of control over my. But we were married, so I mean, I guess that's a different story and different subject altogether. So I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird, and the way that they train, he hangs upside down. He just like gets slapped.
I've never seen that method before. Yeah, it seems a little different, right?
I've seen some methods. I've seen some stuff on Instagram. You see some stupid stuff where they're just like punching people over and over and over in the head. I've seen some stupid stuff, and that's pretty close to it. It's pretty close to it.
You don't see Rocky doing any of that stuff in the Rocky movies, right? He's not hanging upside down. He might be hitting a big slab of meat, but nothing too bad like what we saw in that video. That was crazy. It was actually uncomfortable to watch.
To me, it kind of looked like some. I think it's BDSM. Isn't that what it's called?
I think so. Yeah.
That's
wow.
what it looked like.
It's wow.
Like, what is this?
But final question for me: What's 2 or 3 things KGB has to do to get her head raised on Saturday? What's 3 things you must do to get that W?
Be aggressive. Go out there and just put my hands on her, man. I got to be aggressive. I got to be. You said 3 things though, so
we'll take the as one of them. You have to be right? So there you go. You got to be confident.
Be aggressive.
Yeah.
Be vicious and be violent. There we go.
Hey, and final thing, can you give us a shout out? Let everybody know who you are and tell them you're listening to Kendrick and James on the 1-2 podcast.
Kendrick and James is the 1-2 podcast. I appreciate you for having me on. And can I give can I mention all of my sponsors real quick?
Yeah, of course. At the end, yeah, of course.
Hey, you can do your sponsors and then tell them who you are and then give us a shout out.
Okay, I'll do that. All right, so I want to thank all of my sponsors who helped me out with this camp. Without you, it would not have been possible for me to be able to travel everywhere that I did. So AMS Racing, Johnson & Johnson Trucking Company, Fire Sprinkler Services, Red River Range of Shreveport, High Ground Apparel, B-Lit Organics of Denver, Frontier Roofing of Shreveport Bossier, Boot Camp Consulting of Shreveport Bossier, Victory Beef, Egg Whites, Lana's Egg Whites, and Punch Gunk. Appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. And I want to give a shout out and a thank you to James and Kendrick at the 1-2 podcast. 1-2 Punch podcast.
Who are you though? They gotta say who you are. You gotta let you know who are you.
Yeah, you got to say this is Andrea Lee, UFC flyweight, and you're listening to the 1-2 with Kendrick and James.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This is Andrea KGB Lee, and you're listening to Kendrick and James at the 1-2 podcast.
There you go. Is that good? I think that works.
I think you got clipped. Can you do it one more time to be safe?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Did I say it right?
No, yeah, you said it right. He just kind of clipped you right.
Oh, okay. This is Andrea KGB Lee, and you're listening to Kendrick and James at the 1-2 podcast.
There you go. Perfect. 3rd time's a charm. Hey, thanks for doing this, Andrea. I know we had some tech issues. Really appreciate it, especially during fight week, but you always come through in the clutch, and we really appreciate it here on the 1-2.
Good luck. See you this week.
It's okay. Thanks for being patient. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
All
we
right.
got all time. We got all.
I'll holler at you this week, buddy.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
There you go. That is Andrea KGB Lee joining us here on the 1-2 with Kendrick and James. She was great. And like I said, I give her props because we had some connection issues. It's fight week. She's cutting weight. She still makes time for both of us, but I think that speaks more about the job we do when it comes to these interviews. Right, Kendrick?
If it's that easy to get these names, everybody will be able to do them. That's why I say every week I keep pulling. I got some boxing ones. I'm coming up big now going through. We even got people that cut checks. I'm really working hard on getting some big timers that I met over the week. Because shout out to the DAZN people. They show me nothing but love in my own city. It's weird. Like when you see people all around, but when you see them at your house, you see how they really act. So it was pretty cool seeing the DAZN people in my backyard.
Quickly before we go, we got UFC 262 this weekend. I want to just give you my quick picks. I think Oliveira keeps the title. I got Oliveira. Even better. We can argue on Monday when it happens. I think Oliveira is more battle tested. I think he goes out there, weathers the early storm from Chandler, goes out there, gets a decision or a late submission on Chandler. I like Chandler, but I think Oliveira is a different animal. I like Beneil Dariush over Tony Ferguson. I love Tony Ferguson, but I think he's past his time here. Injuries, age.
We agree with that one.
Well. We agree on that one. I like Chukagian over Araujo. Shane Burgos and Edson Barbosa. I actually like Edson Barbosa here. I think he goes out there and gets it done. I think this is going to be his breakout performance at featherweight to get it done over the Hurricane Shane. But again, 50-50 fight.
Let's have a 50-50 fight. Chukagian, it's weird because she's a really good fighter, but she's nowhere near Valentina. It's crazy. I think she beats everybody in the world but Valentina. She's in a weird spot because we don't want to see that fight. We know what's going to happen. She knows what's going to happen. I told you I pissed her off because I asked her how to feel had to be your personal best just to compete with somebody. She thought I was just basically like looked at me like, how dare you ask that question? And then 2 nights later, we know what happened.
It happens. Well, no, it's true though. Valentina, she destroys everyone. Like Jessica, I hadn't been finished. Valentina finishes her. Like, or it's crazy, you know. So it just goes out.
There's levels to this, and that lady's up here, and everybody. Now the Kamaru thing, what people were saying, that's reality in Valentina's division. That's not even a doubt. You don't know MMA if you don't know that. That's about the biggest gap in all the divisions.
Yeah. No, you're completely right about that. Okay, we got very little time left. What do you got coming up this week? You doing anything interesting? You just came back from the fights. You're going to the fights this weekend, right, in Houston?
I'm going to the fights, but I have no idea how my fight week schedule is going to be. That literally, there's a lot behind the scenes going on. I might leave tomorrow. I might show my ass up to Saturday night. I will be in the house Saturday night for fights. I will watch them all live in the arena, but I don't know all the stuff in between. So I may have a fight week. I might just show up on Saturday. Yeah, and, for real.
Yeah, and I wish I had stuff to report. I got nothing. I've been trying to pin down some interviews this week. We'll see. No PFL for me this week because PFL is not back till June 10th, so I got a bit of time off this week. Yeah, nothing exciting, but just follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Lynch on Sports. You can get updates on what I'm up to every single day. Kendrick, anything you want to plug before we get out of here as we wrap the show up?
Hey, I'll be live on the scene at UFC 262. Regardless of what happens, I will be in the house on Saturday night in Houston.
There you go. That's great.
Hey, it's John Anik. You're listening to the 1-2 podcast with Kendrick and James.
Love it.